So Tariq bhai, why is it important for Muslims to understand Arabic?
Well, I think for Muslims, the most important reason, the first and primary reason to understand Arabic, especially for those of us who don't already know any Arabic, but even for Arabs, is to understand Quran. Because the Quran is the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran is a message that has benefit in and of itself, but it is a message that was sent to you and a message that was sent to me. It's a message from the creator of the universe. And you know, I was speaking to you about this earlier, Rehan. You're a businessman, you're an educator, you're interviewing me, you interview so many people around the world. I want you to just think about what if someone sent you a recording? What if someone 1400 years ago decided that you were important enough that he wanted you to hear this message, that he wanted you to be moved by this message, that he wanted you to change your life because of this message? What message is it? It's the Quran. I want you to imagine, today, if you were to receive a message from some important figure, someone that you respected, maybe the head of some company that you've always wanted to meet and that you respect highly, or maybe the president of some country. If they sent you a message today, and that message were in a language other than one that you speak fluently, you would treat it reverently. You would take that message and you would find a translator, or maybe many translators, and you would try to get what was important out of that message. But depending on how much you love that person who sent it, and depending on how much importance you think there is in this message, you wouldn't be satisfied with that one translation. You might go to other translators too. And even at the end of all of that, you may be just yearning in your heart that I wish I could learn enough of that language that I would understand this message. I may not understand anything that anybody else says to me, but I could understand this message better. And then think how much effort you would expend to do that. And we're not talking about a message that you hear once and it goes away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has meant for this message to be read over and over again. It's in the very name, Quran. It is something that is read again and again. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran about how it is even recited, that it is recited beautifully, tartila. And so we know that it is an astonishingly important message for us. So then how much effort should we make? How much effort should each of us make if we really say to ourselves that we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because He's the one who sent the message. And if we really say that we believe, then how important is it to understand this message for ourselves? The amazing thing about the Quran being in Arabic is that you may find people who have lived in Arab countries their whole life, grown up there, or you find them working there for years and years and years, and they never learn Arabic. And they get by just fine. They're the heads of their companies, or all their business is fine. You don't have to learn Arabic for the sake of being successful in this life. And this life shows example after example that proves that. But this life is not other than dunya. And even the word dunya, it means that it's something lesser. It's something lower. And what lower than what? Lower than what will come later in the akhirah. This life, the purpose of it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran, is that He tests us and He sees how we worship Him and how we are patient and how we treat other people. And then by His mercy we may be able to enter paradise, or if we are deserving of His punishment, may Allah protect us from it, then we would be punished for all time. And so the first thing that He sent us to move our hearts, the most important thing that we have, is this Quran. This Quran that He sent to the best man who ever lived. He sent it. This is how important this message is. The messenger. is the best man who ever lived. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established an entire community. And among the purposes of establishing that community, an entire community, was to preserve that message and to bring that message to every corner of the globe. That's how important that message is. And we can say, oh, it's not a message for me, it's a message for humanity, so it's not so important. It is not diluted in any way because the importance of the Quran. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has all of the knowledge and all of the capability of making this message uniquely important to you and uniquely important to me and to each and every human being on earth who has ever been and ever will be from the time the Quran was revealed. So it doesn't diminish it in any way. What we do instead is we come up with excuses. It's hard to learn Arabic, or we won't be able to really understand. And even at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were Sahaba who needed him to explain parts of the Quran to them. There were Sahaba who went to Aisha radiallahu anha after the Prophet ﷺ's death, and she was a great scholar of the Quran and of Islam. And so many other Sahaba, they would go to them, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, and so forth. And so even among the Sahaba you find, these are people who understood the Quran on its face as it was sent to them, at least the Arabic of it perfectly. It was their language. So we shouldn't say to ourselves, oh, I'm not going to understand. It's not about that. It's about effort. So like when we were speaking before about people, how many people don't know Arabic right now. It is not in any means a slight on them that they don't speak Arabic. You know, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would look at, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best what He looks at in each person. But what efforts are you making? What are you doing to come closer to this message? And why are you coming closer to this message? Hopefully your intention is to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there's nothing about this world that would be more valuable, and nothing about this world that would be more precious or more worth acquiring than closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that can be in your deeds. And one of the things that can bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of them, is that you try to understand His message. So I think this was a really all over the place conversation. It's probably just because of how late it is. But the things to take away are that the most important reason to learn Arabic for a Muslim is to understand the Quran. And then after that, you know, to be able to acquire more knowledge, so much knowledge from written in Pakistan, it wasn't Pakistan then, but in India, and written in Iran. You know, Bukhari was a Persian. There are so many hadith that were preserved by muhaddithun, by scholars of hadith, who were from the subcontinent. So that you have entire chains of narrations that go through the subcontinent just because it was those scholars who preserved those hadith. So in Arabic, obviously. So if you learn Arabic and you want to get even closer to the Quran than understanding it on its face, then you have access to all of that body of knowledge, inshallah, if you learn Arabic. And may Allah make me successful in it, and make anybody who's striving to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala successful in it. And I'm not saying it's the only way to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I'm saying that as far as learning Arabic is concerned, that is the prize. The prize is to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through understanding the Quran. And one of the things that you can do, even if you don't know Arabic, is to read a translation. To read, one ayah in English and one ayah in the translation. One ayah in English, one ayah in the translation. And a good translation for that is Sahih International. And it is, incumbent upon us to try. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge us by the sincerity of those efforts. So I pray, inshallah, sincerity for myself and for you and for anybody who's trying to come closer to Allah.
Thank you.